What's going on, you guys? What's going on? This is your boy ScottyByNatureTV, and we're here for another episode of One on One. Now, as I told you guys before, you do know that I am now getting into my music content, and I said that I wanted to start interviewing some actual artists, people that we know, people that we listen to their music, their music ministered us, and all of those different things. Now, today's guest is a person that I loved. I listened to their music when I was when I was growing up. They came out probably like late 2001, early 2002. They had a record called Any Other Night, one of my favorite voices from the early 2000s, and I have always been very, very interested in her career and what happened after her first two albums. So we're going to get all of those answers and more today. And I feel like she's very underrated. And on top of that, I think that people need to get into her a little bit more. So without any further ado, let me welcome my guest for today, Sharissa.
Hi, babies.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Chillin'. What's up, boo?
Now, as I told you before, I'm going to keep the same energy that I had backstage. I am very excited about this interview. I always, because most of my content is geared towards reality TV or scripted TV or things that's going on in the blogs. But music is my first love. And I recently put out a book last year, and thank you. And before I put out a book, I actually used to write songs, and music has always been a big part of my life. So I said this year I wanted to do more music content, because why not put the biggest part of my heart into my content? And you were one of the first people I had on my list of people that I wanted to interview. Yes, because it's so crazy, because I listen to a variety of music, and I listen to music from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, especially R&B music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and I ain't nothing but 37. So I listen to music from all that, from way back when. And you are an artist that debuted when I was in middle school, and like I said before, not to make this like a sympathy thing, but middle school was not like the best time of my life at all. Like middle school was like one of the hardest times of my life. So music was a thing that really, music and writing were the two things that took me out of the anxieties of life back then. And you were one of those artists that I loved and that I still love.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. I need to hear that. I don't think we didn't have social media when I was coming out.
Yes.
So you don't really get to hear from your fans outside of the fans that come to your shows, and I'm just coming out. So they don't know me, and I don't really know what to do. You know what I mean? Because you're just starting out,
Yeah.
But thank you, sweetheart.
Yes, I just want to give people their flowers, because I feel like you're one of those people that never really got their flowers. And I feel like you're one of those artists that's underrated, and I feel like you didn't really get the chance to really shine the way you needed to, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, such is life. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Such is life.
But we're gonna get into that. But let's go ahead and get into it. So I hear your accent. Are you from Jersey or New York?
I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx, New York.
Okay. I figured
I'm from all in the Bronx.
I figured it was one of them, because
I still have it. I can't believe it, because I'm in in Charlotte. So I thought I would have lost that. It depends on who I'm speaking with, because it'll change up. Sometimes I get that southern drawl.
Is it as southern as mine?
No.
But let me tell you, I'm actually from Mississippi. I moved to Atlanta over a year ago. So now that I'm living here in Atlanta, people, I was always under the impression that when you're from the South, everybody sounds the same. but not really. So when I moved here, people was like, I know you're not from the A. Where you from? And I'm from Mississippi. They're like, oh, I can hear it. I can hear it in your voice. I can hear it. So, you know.
Oh.
But okay, so when you so you from the Bronx, and when did you get that urge to, like, that you wanted to sing? Like, have you always sung all of your life? Like, when did that ever come across your mind that this is what I want to do? Like, I want to be a singer. Like,
yeah. Well, when I got the bug to, well, I never really, I have to just say, I was never an artist that, how could I say, that wanted to be in the music industry. I could just sing and known as Sharissa the singer. And I just always happened to be in those spaces. I enjoyed singing. I used to go to a lot of open mics in New York. You know, New York City, you have access to so much.
Yes.
I was in my first band at 13, you know?
Okay.
And, you know, a lot of artists, they have their parents to help push them forward, you know, move them forward. But me, of course, I had the support of my mom and dad, but they were not in the music industry or in my music business. I would just, when like other kids go outside to play, I would be outside in the studio. You know what I'm saying? At 13, I would just be working with whoever was doing music, you know?
Well, since you're talking about you starting off like when you were like 12 or 13, how was life growing up in New York City? I like living in New York, because I always wanted to know what that's like. Because being a person that's from the sticks is not the same. You know, because my dad is actually from Paterson, New Jersey.
Oh, really?
You know, yes, my dad is from Paterson. Like he grew up between Paterson, New Jersey, and Canton, Mississippi, which is where I was born and raised. Okay. So my dad is kind of like a country Jersey boy. He has them both.
Gotcha.
So how was that like growing up as a kid in the Bronx? How was that?
I tell you, I say it all the time. I grew up in the projects.
Okay.
But my mom and my dad, they worked. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't suffer. We didn't feel like we were suffering. But I enjoyed my life. I had some of the best friends growing up. And, you know, right where we were, we had access to the 2 train, the 5 train. So we can go anywhere. I've been to Harlem Weeks, to Crotona Park in Queens. And I'm a little old girl from the Bronx, but we used to be able to move around. That's what I love about the subway back then. You know what I'm saying? We had access to the subway. But growing up was amazing. I had some wonderful peers and elders in my community that supported me. You know, they did. They supported me all the way. You
know, it's funny when I hear you say you grew up in the projects and you didn't suffer and you wasn't struggling, because when you hear those stories, a lot of times when people grow up in the projects, you always hear about them struggling and you always hear about them suffering. So I actually like to hear that type of story, because even back home in Mississippi, there were people that I grew up with that grew up in the project. Most of my dad's family grew up in the project. If it wasn't the project, it was the trailer park. It was all that. It was all that. So, but they didn't suffer though. Like they never had any stories about how they suffered and how they grew up poor. It was always, we had a good time. Like we was in the projects and stuff, but we
never missed a meal.
Right.
So Most High, right?
Right.
Praises to the Most High. We never missed a meal. I never wanted for anything. Like if I wanted something, my mom or my dad, I didn't get it immediately, but they would make sure I had what I desired. You know, I'm grateful for my parents. I am. And my mom and dad, my mom had me when she was 16. My dad was 17. So they were growing and learning. That's how we wound up in the projects, because my mother was a teen mom and she knew that she could get them a place really, quickly. And that was the place in the projects, But my dad worked, he worked all the time, to make sure that we were good. And then when my dad and my mom separated before my music career, my solo music career. And that's how I got my mom out of the projects. You know what I'm saying? I got her out then.
Okay, so I know you said that you started off in your first band when you were, I think you said 12 or 13. 13. So how long were you in that band? Like how long did that last?
Oh, I don't don't even remember, but we worked, you know what I mean? And I was going to tell you, Scotty, don't even ask me no dates, no years, nothing. As long as I can't remember a lot. But I couldn't say exactly how long I was in a band, but I got a lot of training in that band. You know, because live musicians, you know, we got our first, I started doing shows then with the band. We did what's that Jacob Javits Center in New York? They would have the car show. That's what it was. We did the car show, I think, in Philly as well as New York, and we would just travel and perform.
Okay, so did you stay in that band up until you started doing your solo stuff, or did it end like long before that?
Yeah, it did. The band, we were all young in that band. I was in Mount Vernon High School, and I met a young lady, Zakia Blackwood. May she rest in peace. She was in that band. She was a really good friend of mine, and you know, I started hanging out with her, and then she introduced me to the band's leader, and I played percussion in that band. And we worked, and then, you know, you start going out a little. I was doing open mics and, you know, just singing. I would do background vocal work. And then I met a young lady, a writer. She wrote for Anita Baker, and forgive me, I can't remember her name. God bless her. But she introduced me to Kia Jeffries, who was a member of the girl group I was in, Forecast. And that's how I got into the girl group. After the girl group, we were signed to RCA. Then I went on to my solo career.
Okay, so did y'all ever release anything with?
Yes, Forecast. We had an album, Any Weather. Any Weather, yeah.
So let's talk about Forecast. How was that? How was that experience being with the girl group and being signed to a major label? How was that like? And what was like the ups and downs of being?
Yeah. You know, we had fun, and we were young, and you don't realize it when you're young, when you're dealing with things. You don't even understand the experience that you're experiencing. Like, we had access to so much at a young age. What was I, 18, 19? You know, so I had so much access, and having a major record deal at that age, it was crazy, you know? The girl group, the girls, we sang. So that's what I remember most about Forecast. We sang. It helped me build my confidence. You know what I mean? You know, just having 3 other women, well, young ladies there to bounce off of, you know, just like any other relationship, there's good and bad, you know. We were like sisters. So, you know, some days you have good days, some days are bad days, but we stuck it out, you know what I mean? And we disbanded when Kia, she was blessed with her son. When she went to have her son, we disbanded.
Okay, so it wasn't like any internal issues with the group that made y'all break up. It was just because she had a kid and she went on to be a mom, and that's why y'all disbanded.
And things started, you know, and things were happening all at the same time. It wasn't just all on her having her son. It was our management was changing. We had a manager when we went into our deal, and that was changing. So, you know, things start shaking up, and you don't know which way you're gonna go. You know? So yeah, that was really it though. But we've all still kept in touch, you know, pretty much.
Well, that's good to know that you guys have kept in touch, because you know you always hear all these horror stories about girl groups and how they break up because you know it'd be different things like, oh, she slept with my man. Oh, she was singing lead too much, or you know, that's you hear all of those right. So you always hear those different stories about how the girl groups always break up for over crazy stuff, big betrayals or some jealousy or pettiness, but it was mainly because of management changing, people having kids. It just probably wasn't the right time. Life. That's pretty much what it was. And y'all still keep in contact, so that's a great thing.
Life.
So after Forecast, is that where you went into just being Sharissa and not Sharissa of Forecast?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into that. So how did that come about?
Well, once again, I was just in it to win it. So I started working with Father MC, you know, performing with him, doing backgrounds with him, recording with him. And then, you know, I just kept growing. You know, you're out and you start meeting people. you know, and you start working with people. I'm actually working now with the first house producer I worked with back then.
Okay.
He was actually, David Anthony was the first producer that ever cut me a check. You know what I'm saying? That was
right.
like the first time I ever really had my own money. Now, don't get me wrong. RCA made sure that we were good, but I'm talking about for my performance, I got my first check started coming in, you know? So I'm working with him now, which is weird. He's out in Stockholm, Sweden. And, you know, I wanted to do some house music again, get back, you know, to just stretch my voice again. So that's where I am now. But I mean, it was just working. So I went from Father MC. Actually, I signed a production deal with Father MC. And as we're speaking now, I'm remembering taking the release document to him so I could go ahead and move forward with my newer deals. You know what I mean? Like the newer work that I was trying to get into. So yeah. But I've just always worked and sang. So
that is so crazy that you was with Father MC, because I remember Mary J. Blige singing on his song "I'll Do For You" back then.
And that was years before I started working with him.
Yes.
My girlfriend, one of my girlfriends I went to elementary school, introduced me to him.
Yeah, that is so crazy. It's like it seemed like a lot of I ain't gonna say a lot of women, but that's kind of crazy how that correlates. Because it's kind of like, you know, Mary sung with them and then you sung with them. And then, you know, there was at points they were comparing the two, like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah. But I think the industry is not as big as it may seem now, because now everybody is in the industry. You know what I'm saying? But back then, it was totally different. It wasn't like that easy. You know, it wasn't easy to get in there.
It wasn't easy. Like I remember like growing up looking at like CDs, and they'll have like the record labels and their address where you could probably send a demo tape to them. Now all you have to do is get on YouTube and sing, or get on social media, have a big following and sing, and somebody might just be looking at your stuff and then they'll pick you up like that. Like it's very easy for people to get into the industry now. May not always be a great thing, but however, that is how a lot of people get in.
You didn't tell a lie. You didn't tell a lie.
Because I'm telling you right now, you may think I'm playing when I say this, but I don't listen to the radio. And there's a lot of artists that's out right now in the present that I don't know them. And I don't pick up on a song until 6 months later, until after it comes out. There was a time like when you was out, and when like during that time when I would listen to the radio all the time as a kid, I knew every artist, every song that came on the radio. Now I cannot tell you because I don't listen to the radio.
100%. I agree. I'm with you.
It's like, okay, and I just feel like they all sound the same. It's the same NyQuil beat that they all use, that they remix it, and
100%.
It's no diversity. It's nothing, like no one.
Something that we learned, you know, having marketing meetings and, you know, at record labels is once they see something work, they try to emulate it like over and over again, and they ruin it. But that's what happens when other people are in control of our music. Just straight up. You know what I'm saying? When other people are in control of your music, they get to do what they want. I believe I said this in another interview. It's kind of hard being an artist because you get so many voices coming at you. And when whatever their suggestion was doesn't work, it's left on you. It doesn't say, it's not, oh, that was Tommy's idea and it didn't work. Nah, it's just all on the artist. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, because you hear this all the time. And a lot of people think that when you sign a record deal, that means that it's on. But people don't realize that, okay, you signed a record deal, but you're not making really the music that you really want to make half the time. There's only a couple of artists that actually get to do that. But then there's some people, they look at you, they tell you exactly what you're gonna do, and then they put you in a lane and they want you to stay there. And then when you try to grow as an artist, they won't allow you to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I heard this from one of my favorite artists of today, goes by the name of K. Michelle. She was talking about this in an interview. Yes, and she was saying in the interview that they wanted me to be the next Mary J. Blige, and that's not what I wanted to be. That's not what I wanted to do. She said, Mary is an inspiration for me. I love Mary, but that's not who I wanted to be. I wanted to be
Absolutely.
K. So I did what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to make these, fuck niggas anthems. I'm heartbroken, whatever, singing the hole in the walls and all this other stuff they wanted me to do. But then for my second album, I wanted to go this route. I wanted to do big ballads. I wanted to do country records. I wanted to do this. And they say, well, it's not time, or those records are too big for you. And I find that to be disheartening when record labels tell an artist that something is too big for them. You're not allowing them to tap into their fullest potential. You're dumbing them down by keeping them in the same box.
Yeah.
And in her exact words, where record labels will put you in a lane, they place you in a lane, they want you to stay there.
Oh, yeah.
Because they feel like that's what makes them money.
And let's talk about, sometimes they'll sign you just to block you, to hold you back. You better know that. Yeah, they'll sign you just to hold you back.
Oh, I feel like we're gonna get into that in just a second. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to make sure. When you came out, were you with Motown?
My first solo deal was with Motown Universal.
Okay, so how did that come about? Now we really getting into it now.
Yeah. So it was Mario Roseman that I met him when I was in that girl group Forecast. And he said to me in a meeting one time, it was all of the girls there. He was like, I was supposed to come for you a long time ago. I didn't know what he meant. But anyway, so a year or two down the line, I wound up working with his brother, James Roseman, and he had an album that he was working on with Motown Universal called Bulletproof Love. And that was around the time I came on and started working with them. I did a few songs for that Bulletproof Love album. And then Motown offered them a record deal for me, a solo deal. So that's how I became a part of Motown via Henchman Motown and started my project.
So how was it making your first solo album?
I had so much fun. I promise you, I had so much fun. Seriously. I had the best time. It was like, I always say that, how I went to college, even when I was recording and doing music, but it was local. Like, I live in the Bronx. I went to Monroe College. And you know what I mean? So I was in community college. But for me, the music.
I was too.
Yeah.
I ain't finished though, but I was too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really. Some of us don't have those opportunities, but look, we went.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I went for journalism and look at what I'm doing now. So it's just like, I learned what I needed to learn. I actually did.
Honey, I went to, what was it? Westchester Community College, and my major when I signed up was criminal justice. I wanted to be a corrections officer. But and it's so funny because my mom retired from corrections. Like my mom and my sister, they were in it, and I always wanted to do it. But yeah, I mean, it was like college for me. I had a great team. I had Shantae Page. So we traveled and recorded, and I met some wonderful producers. I met the unit out of Atlanta, Gerald Isaacs. You know what I mean? So I worked with so many great people. Bryce Wilson. It was just a great group of people. And it was just a great time to be alive. Because you don't really know what you want or what you're doing, but you're doing it. Like,
right.
I really didn't know what I was doing, but I did it. I did it. But it was just an amazing time. I had fun. Now, I'm not a trained singer. You know what I mean? I'm not trained. Like, yes, once I got signed, yes, they put you with the voice,
the vocal coach,
just to help you, But I was just always the way I sing is the way I sing. You know what I mean? And even with the comparisons to Mary is a great artist, but I don't think that anything that I record sounds like anything that Mary does. I understand we're both from New York. I'm from the Bronx. You know what I mean? Maybe. And then I had the blonde hair, but I was wearing my blonde hair in the street. Because I could remember Kadar Massenberg, who was the president of Motown at the time that signed me, him saying to me, are you going to keep that blonde? Like, if you start with the blonde, you're going to have to keep it, because that's the way I came to the office. Like, you know, I had blonde hair. I was just doing me. I wasn't trying to be anything, be like anybody. I was just doing me. That's it.
But you know what? Now that I think about it, anytime, and I feel like this is what they do. Anytime you're from New York, you have that around the way girl type of swag. You sing about heartbreak, and the first thing they're gonna do is compare you to Mary, because she was the same one. She was this around the way girl from Yonkers. She sung about heartbreak, life, all of that. And whenever somebody comes behind her and does not the exact same thing, but does something similar, they're going to compare the two.
But I think they do that with all artists.
Yes, they do it with everybody.
A new artist, and immediately somebody is saying, reminds me of this person, or sounds just like this person. You got to kind of, our community, we ruin each other. Like we do. Our community, I believe that we limit each other, because we always have that same, it's the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
There can only be one. No.
Yes, one. They only allow one at a time. Why? I don't know, but they do that a lot.
That's that Jim Crow mentality, but I'm not going to get into that in this interview.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to get into that, but that's exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because as a people, we have to learn to do better. Like we definitely cling on to all of the negatives of everything. Like, come on, like there's got to be some peace. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's why if it ain't no peace attached to it, I don't want none of it.
I do feel like though, that can be a little bit tiring to constantly be compared to somebody. Like it's kind of like, well, you know, I love them as an artist, but that's not who I'm trying to be. Like, I'm not trying to be like them. But I appreciate the compliment. It's a compliment to be compared to them. But
and
I just want to have my own identity.
Point, you get tired of the same storyline. Like, enough is enough. Okay, and then I do believe that storyline is spinned. Like, they do it solely to start friction between you and fans, because you know, oh, we can only have one.
And you see that. You see that. It's kind of like reminiscent of Mary. Then Keisha Cole came out, and it was this.
They did the same thing with Keisha.
And then Keisha, then K Michelle. Yeah, they try to create that with Keisha and K Michelle. It was the same thing, you know.
It's sad because you see Caucasian artists, they don't have to deal with that. They get to come out and do R&B music and have no comparison. Like, you know, they do. They get to come out and do R&B music, and you don't see them competing with each other and all of that foolishness. They get a chance to live, and they live better than we do. They do. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just,
well, because I'm going to ask you something similar to this later on down the line. But with your debut album, No Half Stepping, was some of those songs coming from experience?
A lot of them. You better believe a lot of them were prophetic too. They were prophetic, because I promise they were. It was the life. Like, it was what I was moving with right then and there. All of that.
So before we get into like the singles of it all, let's talk about some of these songs, since she said someone was pathetic. So when you say pathetic, were you waiting for somebody to get out of jail?
Yeah. Wait, and I shouldn't have. Since you really want to know.
You told him, hang on in there.
Word.
Man, listen, I was going to Chicago a couple of years back. This was 2016, and because my friend, I can't say my friend. She used to date my cousin at the time, and even though she's no longer dating my cousin, that's still my girl. So we was going to Chicago. Actually, because I wanted to go see him actually, because she had moved from up there or whatever, and he hadn't moved down south yet. So we was going up there to visit him. And we was in a car. You know, Chicago from where we was at was like a 10-hour drive. So we was on our way there. And she had me in charge of the music. So we played your whole album. And we was listening to the I'm Waiting song. She was like, wait a minute, what? I was like, she told him to hang on in there. Even when you feel you ain't got nobody, hang on in there.
That's right.
Okay. Like, so that's when you said that was like the first song I thought about. Okay, so you was waiting for somebody to come out of jail.
That's, I said in another interview, like, I don't think I'm a great writer. I think it's more because I don't want this to be out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, even that song, like right now, I regret it.
Why you regret it? I love that song.
I'm not waiting for nobody to get me.
Listen, it's okay. Like, even with me, like, I'm nobody's singer, but I have listened to old demos I made. And I'm like, oh my God, Scotty, you were like down and out about this down low ass nigga you was writing about. Like, Scotty, come on. It's funny listening to it now. Somebody might relate to it.
Yeah.
So another question. Since you told me some of them are based off experience, did you like Thugs?
With John B.
It's a song. No, it's a song called Thug. Yeah, Thug Love or something. That's the name of the song.
Me and John B. Yeah.
You like Thugs? You just like Thugs?
I tell you, on the second album, you ain't see Sometimes I Hate Being in Love with a Thug.
Oh, that's my song, girl. That's my song, honey.
Yeah. So, it was just really picking up on the word because of back then, thug love. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
To just, instead of saying homie love or hood love, it was just finding a word that would stick.
Okay. You told him either you gonna come home or stay where you at.
or go back there again and again and again and again.
Oh my God. Okay. It's a song called All These Years.
Little Mo wrote that one.
I was just about to bring it up. Little Mo was also one of my favorite voices of that time as well.
Little Mo is the shit.
She does not get the credit she deserves either. How was it like? What was it like working with Lil Mo?
Well, what's so crazy? I know Mo. So, and I knew her prior to recording the record, but I didn't record the record with Mo. I recorded the record with Bryce Wilson and Shantae Page. We were out in Jersey. So I didn't record with Mo in there, but Mo and I have been in the same studio working at the same time. So I know Mo, love Mo, but that was the joint. I
love that song.
I had to have that one.
I remember hearing that song at the end of the No Hair Stepping video. I'm like, oh my God, this needs to be the next single. Oh my God. I wanted this so bad. Oh my God. What's the Done Put Up Too Long?
Yeah, Done Put Up Too Long. Now that was a good one. Yeah, that was me and Tank, right? Yeah, me and Tank.
I think it was you and Tank.
We worked on that one together. Tank and I worked on that one together.
I felt your pain, girl.
Yeah, I told you. You did, right? Woo! It's no joke. You see the balance of the emotions, don't you?
Yes, I felt your pain, child. I felt your pain. Now, one of my favorite records on No Half Stepping was Issues.
Oh yeah, I worked on that with Gerald Isaac.
I love that song, and that is a real song. Like, you got issues, but and I know you got a lot of stuff with you, but I still love you.
But I still miss you. I still love you. Yeah.
Yes, you got a lot of stuff with you. Like,
I love the music on Issues. The music is just
the production is great. Like everything about that was great. Let's see. Put down that phone.
Put down that phone. Yes.
So did you really meet somebody on the train one day?
No. No. But that was a vibe. I needed an up tempo, so we vibed.
Yeah. Yes, I love Don't Put Down That Phone. Actually, I was like, yes, girl. Like I said, she got me moving just a little bit on the record.
Yeah. I really appreciate all everyone that reaches out to, show me love on that No Half Stepping project, because It was my first solo album. And while I was working the album, I really didn't get that reception. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm going to ask you all about that too, because I feel like you didn't. Honestly, I do.
Yeah, and I know it comes from. That's why I say sometimes people they set you up in a sense. You know what I mean? They are setting you up to fail. You know, just being honest. I think that I put it out there. I thought it was a great project. A lot of my fans, because they would come out, they loved it, but behind the scenes and those workings, the magazines and the radio and all of that, where the industry, the business comes in, they have their own thing that they
trust me, we're gonna get into that.
Yeah,
I have a lot of questions about that. Another one of my favorite songs is Over a Man. Oh my God, I love that
song. Yeah, I worked with Gerald Isaacs on that too. I enjoyed working with him.
You said I'm gonna do what I gotta do if you raise your hands. I felt you on that, okay? I felt you on that, okay? Do you really want to stop speaking to me over a man? Like, we supposed to be best friends and you want to fight me over your man? Like, come on now. That was a real life story.
Plenty of sisters can relate to that.
That was a real life story.
Today. Today.
The song "Do We Really?" I like that song. It sounds like I'm saying I like every song on the album, because I do. I like every single song on here. So it's the "Do We Really" song, and I Can't Wait. Like I love I Can't Wait.
Yeah. I Can't Wait was actually on that Bulletproof Love album. That was the record that got me my deal.
Oh, so that's the song that got you your deal. Okay. I love that song actually. That's my favorite, one of my favorites. I want to make sure I didn't forget anything, because I don't want to say anything about the singles yet. I think I said all of them.
Yeah.
In that argument skit is just hilarious to me.
It is, yeah. Natalie Knox, she was on the henchman too.
That was funny. Now, let's get into the songs that was put out for the masses to hear. So, Any Other Night, I remember being in the 7th grade, and this was probably like fall 2001, early 2002. And I remember just listening to the radio, and they played this song on the radio, and I'm just 12. I don't know nothing about this, but I hear you singing Any Other Night, and it took me back to I'm hearing my mom and my stepdad argue, and my mom says, any other night you'll be doing this, any other night you wouldn't even be here, and then my mother heard it. My mother liked the song. As a matter of fact, I told her earlier today when I was leaving work today that I was going to be interviewing you today. She said, I used to love that song, by the way. And my cousin Reggie, when I told him I was interviewing you, he was like, make sure you tell her we used to sing the shit out that song when it was out. And we did. Like we were 12 and 13 singing the hell out of that song, not knowing what it was about.
I get a lot of that.
Yes, and I remember watching 106 in Park. The video constantly was on there. I was one of the people that we had dial-up back then. So I was one of the people that was voting for it.
Yeah, thank you.
So I loved that song. Can you tell me, why did y'all pick that to be the first single? That was the perfect first single to me.
But it was.
Why did y'all pick that?
You know what's so crazy? Any producer that I went to work with after I recorded that record with the unit out of Atlanta, they were like, I love my song, I love my record, but that's your single right there. Like anyone that heard it, they knew immediately that was the single. That was it.
Everything about that song.
They did a spinoff of it. Right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They did. So like maybe like a year later they did that with a Sick of Being Lonely song.
Yeah, Sick of Being Lonely.
And it's one part in that song that me and my best friend, shout out to Tay, we laugh at it every time. When you at the end of the song, you say, when you start laughing, after you said any other night would have been your night, and you holler laughing at him, my friend Tay would yell out and say, laugh at his ass, laugh at his ass. Like, that was funny. Yes, because let me tell you, there have been many a times where, I'll be talking to a guy, he not giving me no attention. And as an Aquarius, there are times where I cannot express myself verbally, so I can take a song, I can pick any song and I send it to that person to let them know this is what I'm trying to say. I can't say it. This is what I'm trying to say. So if it was a guy that I was dealing with and he wasn't sending me no attention, there you go.
You know what? I used to have men walk up to me at shows. Like, yeah, my girl threw your shit on and I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that.
They'll get fighting mad about that. We're literally telling you that you picked the wrong damn time. You know, I got company now. You done wasted my time. You wasted my time.
A lot of them did not like that.
They didn't. But you made your point with that record. I just want you to know you made your point.
Thank you, Bill.
And I don't care. It's a classic. I still play that song like it's like it's out today. Like I still play it.
I really appreciate it. I do. I appreciate it from all of the fans, honestly, because we need to hear that. Like, you know, you put yourself out there and you want to hear that. I mean, I believe that I deserved a lot more than what I received, but you know, who am I to tell people?
You do.
Who am I to tell them? But I know that I put out a decent product. You know what I'm saying? I'll just say that.
But how did you feel when that song blew up, though? Like, what was going on in your mind when it blew up?
You know what? I was just enjoying it. I was enjoying performing for people. The stage is what I love. I love performing. The studio, I don't love so much. I don't love.
Yeah. But see, one of my dear friends is a singer. His name is DJ. He sings, and I think he said that too. He loves to perform, but that studio part,
I love to perform, but the studio, kind of, you know. I'll do it. Don't get me wrong. I'll do it. But I love the stage. Something about the stage.
Yes. I mean, I understand it. Like, it's just like, even with me, for instance, like I love doing my videos. I love doing my interviews at times. I love doing my lives. But like when people tell me, Scotty, you should do a live show. No, I don't do that. I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid to do it. But now I got asked to host somebody else's live show for their podcast. So now I got to get up there and get used to it now. So it's just like,
you can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
You know, but you know, that's just me always like criticize. We all can be our own biggest critic with different things. Because with any interview that I've done, I'm always twiddling my thumbs every time I get ready to do it and stuff like that. I'm always, I wonder if they have a good time when I'm doing this, or if they're gonna enjoy themselves, or if I'm gonna do a good job when I'm doing it. So I'm always
doing an amazing job,
but thank you. I appreciate that.
An amazing job.
So after Any Other Night blew up, your next single was the title track to your album, No Half Stepping, which I feel like was a good second single. But I do know in Mississippi, they used to play the version of No Half Stepping that had Busta Rhymes on there. They used to play that.
Oh, that's from my mixtape CD. Yeah, I did a mixtape CD.
Yeah, they used to play that version in Mississippi.
Busta version, okay.
Now I feel like No Half Stepping should have been just as big as Any Other Night. So what would you say, in your words, in your mind? What do you think happened with that?
I don't know. You know, I really don't know, because all I ever did was put my best foot forward, you know, so I really couldn't say where or what. I do believe, though, at Universal, if I'm not wrong, there were some changes in their radio department and promotion department, if I'm remembering correctly, because, you know, sometimes things are moving so quickly. But I think, No Half Stepping, we shot the video, which I thought was super dope. And things happen. Yeah,
it's to me, it felt like, and this is just a person, this is just speaking as a consumer, right? And of course, by the time the No Half Stepping video came out, I had turned 13 by then. So I don't know what I'm looking at, but at the same time, whatever. No Half Stepping, the video was always on BET all the time. We would see it all the time. It was on 106 & Park. It was always showing on BET, but it just feel like it wasn't the push that you had with Any Other Night was not the same push with your second single. And I'm trying to understand. I'm like, why not? Like, you know, you
I
see that a lot.
don't know. I like I say, I think there were, in that industry too, those changes. When those changes happen, departmental changes within the record label, sometimes artists get lost in the sauce because there's someone previously that was focused on that artist, and then the new person comes and they have their acts that they'd like to push along. But I mean, I couldn't tell you, darling.
But you know what? That sounds like something that Coco said. Coco from SWV. It sounds like something that she said that happened to SWV when they came out with their New Beginning album in '96. The era got cut short. I think after they put out Use Your Heart, they got a new A&R, and they decided, this ain't my project. This is somebody else's project. We're gonna push this to the side, and then we're gonna rush y'all into the studio to make this album. We're gonna rush y'all in the studio, throw a bunch of rappers on there up to date, and then we're gonna push this album out within a year. And that's exactly what happened. And then when they pushed that album out, it didn't do as well as the first because they didn't have the same A&R that knew what to do with them. They had someone new who thought they knew what to do with them. And if you see the two albums, New Beginnings was one album, but then their third album was a hip-hop album that didn't sound like anything SWV was doing.
Wow.
So it when they say the person that had the gasoline left, so then they put in someone new, and then it ruined everything.
That's what happens. And it sort of goes back to what I was trying to tell you about just that record label stuff, just them, let's do this, and then it doesn't work. Or that other thing that I mentioned where something works for one artist and now everybody has to do the same thing. So they're throwing rappers on every album.
Right. Sometimes
you don't need that. And that's what I love about R&B, real R&B. You never lose it. Like, it may not play on the radio, but at home, we're playing it.
Yes.
At home, I play Stephanie Mills.
Yes.
I play Millie Jackson. You know what I mean? They may not get the recognition that they deserve, but I play that at home. I grew up listening to Stephanie Mills. You know what I mean? So we know what it is. That's why I believe that as a people, we need our own things. And see, this is another reason why I'm not on the radio. Because I'm always, I will always speak on what we need. But I think that we need our own things. That's why I kind of like this internet era too, because I can just record and put music and give music directly to my fans. You know what I'm saying? Instead of having a middleman there that once they don't like you, they're gonna block you and turn your water off. Like, ding, that's off. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You get to do your own thing, and they don't like when we get too proud.
Right. They don't. Like, you hear a lot of these stories. Y'all should do. Y'all should, though, for real. Yeah. So after No Half Stepping, there wasn't another single after No Half Stepping.
No. We went right on to the second album and we were moving to Virgin.
Okay, so is there a reason why y'all didn't put out another one? I feel like you could at least got one more.
I mean, what's so crazy? I'm waiting. Kadar Massenberg took it to radio. I remember him being on the radio station playing I'm Waiting. So I'm thinking I'm Waiting was coming, but I believe, like I mentioned earlier,
like
there
Virgin
was a change in their radio department and then their promotions department. I believe there was a new head of radio that came in and things started changing from there.
Okay, so I remember watching Showtime at the Apollo. It was maybe between 2003, 2004. I know I was probably 14. Listen, I remember it, child. I remember everything. Probably 2003, 2004. I was probably like 14 or 15. And you no longer had the blonde hair. I think you had like the brown.
Oh yeah. Because I did See If I Won't on that record.
That's where I'm going.
Okay, you know what? Because you just brought it to my attention. Let me tell you this. I know where you're going, because See If I Won't, that falls in line with what I was trying to tell you about. Something works, and then they try to emulate it again, because See If I Won't sound
just like Any Other Night.
Exactly. And they wanted that record. You know what I'm saying? They wanted See If I Won't. Because of Any Other Night. So I think that was part of the issue as well.
Okay, so that's where I was going. You had performed "See If I Won't" on Apollo. And I remember my friend, I feel like I'm shouting out all my friends today. My friend Mimi, she was like, I like Sharissa's new song, "See If I Want." I like that song. And I'm like, I do too. I like because me and her were like the friends that were like literally like into music of all kinds. So we could have those type of music conversations. And I was like, I like that song too. But then it's just like I didn't hear it anymore after
I remember Wendy Williams playing it. And then
so because I remember looking for it on streaming platforms and it's not there. Like I can if I want to play it, I have to go to YouTube to play it.
Exactly. So, even on my second album, "Every Beat of My Heart," you cannot find on a lot of the streaming platforms.
Right. We're gonna get into that in a minute too. But is there is there a reason why "See If I Won't" did it get canceled or something? Like, is there
I think they released it as a single because my mom has all of the singles. That's how I remember half of my stuff. Other than that, I forget about it. But my mom has every last one. But "See If I Won't" was a single. So they did have a single. I just think they stopped working it. They stopped working.
Yeah, because like but I can admit, since you said it yourself, it was like a Any Other Night part two.
Because I forgot about it until we just started discussing it. But when I think about it, I remember now. "See If I Won't" was recorded solely because of Any Other Night. It was so close to Any Other Night. And now that I remember, that's what it was. They, they wanted to get close to Any Other Night.
Yeah, even lyrically, it was like Any Other Night. Even production wise, it was like Any Other night. Like it was like Any Other Night's first cousin, pretty much.
For
like
all that, it could have been a remix.
It could have been a remix. You know what I'm saying? It was the same thing. So it goes back to what you said the first time. And I think that's the issue with record labels at time. When you do something once, they want you to try to redo it again, and then
or they are trying to recreate that same monster. It's the same thing. That's why, like, even Beyonce, love Beyonce, but now every artist that they put out, they're trying to make them sound like Beyonce because Beyonce hit. But you'll see it every time. When someone hits and they find that winning formula, they try to emulate that formula. They try to do it over again. So
exactly.
Yeah. So but I think the beauty of music is allowing artists to be artists and to be themselves. Yeah.
But people seem to think that the labels have all the answers because they're the people with the money and all that, but they really don't have the answers. They
give me the money and leave me alone.
Basically,
give me the money and leave me alone.
So we go into, like I said, I think that was 2003, 2004, somewhere in there. 2005, I was probably 16, and the "In Love with a Thug" comes out with R. Kelly. And I never forget how I found out about this song. What you mean? I was walking home from the bus stop one day because I had just gotten dropped off from the bus, getting home from school, walking home from the bus stop. And I was walking and I heard this car pass by at the stop sign. I heard sounds like, "Hey, being in love with a thug." Wow. And I'm like, what is that? And then I remember talking to that same friend, Mimi. She was like, "Have you heard the song that Sharissa got with R. Kelly?" Wow. I said, "How does it go?" She said, "Sometimes I hate me." I said, "That's the same song I heard when I was walking away from the bus stop." Wow. She said, "Yes, I love that song." Wow. And I think the video or something came on BET, I believe it, and I love that song. But it just seemed like it came and then it just disappeared.
Let me tell you, I always say this. One day I was in my girlfriend's nail salon and Imani J's in Jersey. I want to say Passaic Park, New Jersey. I'm sitting there getting I was sitting at the bowl, the pedicure station. And she always has on BET. And it was 106 in Park. And out of nowhere, they throw the video on for "In Love with a Thug." I had no clue. And that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, that's gonna be the end of this. Like you could just tell, like, and that was my second album, and I was at Virgin. I was just surprised though that I didn't know. I was expecting if they were gonna premiere my video, I would expect to be there like I was the first time.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let's get into that. So you at the nail salon and they're watching 106 in Park and they say we have a new joint of the day and it's Sharissa and R. Kelly in love with a thug. You sitting here like, wait a minute, what?
But don't forget, I caught the tail end of that tape that came out. That tape came out right around then. So I had him as a featured artist on my record, but then he couldn't even, we had to shoot the video in Chicago because he couldn't leave. And in Illinois, I'll say, because it wasn't in Chicago. The city was Waukegan, if I'm remembering.
Waukegan. My cousin lived in Waukegan. Yeah, Waukegan.
We had to film it there because he couldn't leave. At that time, at that time, he couldn't leave. But my single was affected by that case that started coming out. The talk started around that time. Well, before that, the talk started. Yeah, I think just before that, the talk was starting. But I think that's what happened. I think at that time, they were going to start leaving him alone in a sense. So it left me alone too.
So okay, so when you you just said when you were sitting there and you saw your video playing and you didn't know that it was going to be playing, you said, okay, I can already tell that this is the end of this. So what made you come to that conclusion when you saw that video playing and you wasn't there to even premiere yourself?
Yeah, because of that. Because I had such a wonderful relationship with BET. I did. I had a great relationship. I would just expect that. Like, I wouldn't expect them to just throw the video because it needs a buildup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be, but that's what happens when we put our lives, our, careers in other people's hands. They get to do what they want to do with it. And then you are left to deal, or I will say suffer the consequences. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, that was just it. And the truth of the matter is, for me, I always just move on, like move forward. I just move forward.
So what happened to your second album, Every Beat of My Heart?
Every Beat of My Heart, I went to Virgin Records. And once again, it was that R. Kelly that was going to be the lead single. They premiered it at, all of those, what do they call those? Oh, gosh, I tell you, don't ask me to remember anything. But like those Jack the Rappers, like those music conferences. That. And then they dropped the video. But I believe I really suffered from, we had paid him so much too. Even to shoot the video, you know what I'm saying? So I think after that, once that it was a trickle down effect from the case that he's dealing with now. You know what I'm saying? I got caught up in that. But they only released Every Beat of My Heart in Japan. That album. And I believe that was a really great follow-up, I think. Now, the only thing I will say about Every Beat of My Heart were songs that I went and I wrote with, producers, and those were writing sessions. I always thought that I would be able to go back and, tweak this, tweak that, but they wound up just putting it out. You know what I mean? Just putting it out. I thought that I would be able to, because that's what I did my first album. We write, and then I don't like that. Let me go back. The second album, it was just like writing sessions that were recorded. And then it was like, we got it, let's go. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you have to have proof. You know what I'm saying? You have to have proof. But that's what made me start thinking about sabotage. You know what I mean? That's when those words started coming into my ears. But
okay, so since you said that, do you feel like you were sabotaged in this whole industry And you can be honest. Okay,
yeah,
so tell me why.
Be honest, because the truth is, it is what it is. And you know what? See, when I first started in the industry, they teach you how to fluff things and this and that. I'm done with fluffing. I'm done with fluffing. You know, but absolutely, I believe so. And you know what's the saddest part? A lot of it was from men. You would think women. I have more female supporters than men.
Of course.
The problem really comes from the men.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you see this, like, because you see, like, you talk, like, listening to you talk, I've heard, like, a lot of artists that kind of debut during your time where you came out, you hear this same story. Like, you hear, Olivia, for example.
I like Olivia.
Yeah, she was signed to J Records at first, and then she went to G Unit literally around the time your Every Beat of My Heart was supposed to come out. And then we didn't hear anything else from her until Love and Hip Hop when she got on that show. And so it was kind of like, I remember her having, like, Biz was a big record, and people don't even know that it was a big record. It was like the single went gold by itself, but then when her album came out, it didn't do anything. It didn't do that well, and then they dropped her. And it's kind of like, okay, what? And then she would go on interviews, and she would say things like, when I was with this particular record label, they wanted me to be the bad girl, but they wanted Alicia Keys to be the good girl behind the computer, behind the piano. Like that's what she said. I was singing records that I didn't want to sing. They told me to sing these records, or I'm writing records that I don't want to sing.
There can only be one. There can only be one. We don't need too many of you niggers walking around here.
So when you say sabotage, it kind of takes me right back to the way that it does kind of sound like setting me up for sabotage, because R. Kelly his name was kind of burnt at the time of that whole tape thing, because he did do a lot of collaborations with people. He couldn't even be in a video. Like, I remember he did that song with Nivea, Laundromat. He wasn't even in the video. You know,
I didn't know that.
Okay. Yeah, see, he wasn't even in the video. They had Nick Cannon in the video. He wasn't even in the damn video.
Wow.
And I guess it's because she was younger. I don't know, but she wasn't even in the damn video.
I didn't think about that.
Right, you know, so it's kind of like, if they knew that his name was burnt in the industry and people really didn't want to rock with him like that, why would they put him on the song with you, and why would they make that their first single?
I'm glad you said it, and I didn't. You said.
Then to put it out and then let it collapse and then just throw the album out in Japan is just a waste. Like,
what about your friends? Are they gonna stand? Trust me. Sometimes you be in a mix and you don't even realize what's around you. You don't even know until after the fact. It's like hindsight. And I really don't say nothing about it because, like I say, you have to have proof. But when you just look at things, you be like, yo.
That's crazy. Yo.
So it just doesn't make sense, right?
It doesn't, because it's like, what? Like,
it's almost like laundering money to give somebody else some money. You know what I mean? Like,
right. And it was a great song. Like, it was a great song. Like, that song had the potential to be a big song back then. Like,
but just throw it out there and see what happens.
Yeah, and you can tell when labels just throwing something out there to see if it's gonna stick. That's what they do. And then they just throw, but what you just said was when because the album got thrown out in Japan, that happened to Maya once before. I remember that. Your album was
Maya too. Now Maya and I had the same management when I was in Forecast. We had the same managers.
See, that's so crazy, because when that happened to you with Every Beat of My Heart in 2005, she was finna come out with another album 2 years later called Liberation. She had a single with Lil Wayne called Lock You Down. And the next thing you know, they put that song out, then they put out another song, and then that was it. Next thing you know, the album got thrown out in Japan.
Yeah. You know what happens to the best of us.
so after that happened with Every Beat of My Heart, it's kind of like we really didn't hear that much from you anymore after that. So were you so was that like a thing that you chose to do on your own, or was it like, okay, so why did you choose to just step away from the industry?
The time the second album was released, by then I was tired. I'm gonna just keep it real with you. Burned out, like tired, you know, just tired. So I wound up coming to South Carolina where my mom was, and just taking a break. And I wasn't sure, you know, what I was gonna do. Once again, the music industry was different than the way that it is now. Like, although the internet was, you know, there, and they had, I think back then, I want to say, was it MySpace?
Yes,
I didn't know all of that stuff.
Yeah, MySpace was just now starting around that time. Yeah.
See, but music was changing. So the old way of doing music, I knew I didn't want to do that anymore. I knew that I wasn't going to go and record an album and then hand it into a label and then they get to sit on it and shit on it. Like, I knew I wasn't doing that again. And now, I mean, I would say the last 5 years here. Look, I said 5. Yeah. But the last 5 years, I started picking up on the new way of handling your business. Like, we have our own labels. You know what I'm saying? Now. But back then, I just knew I wasn't wasting my time again with that industry because they all one and the same. I just knew I wasn't doing that again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of stance is the reason why they don't really rock with me. And I can dig that. But I'm not going to knowingly let you stay in my face and fuck me. Like, I'm not going to let you do that. You know what I'm saying? And know it? Nah, you're going to have to hear from me. You're going to hear from me. You know what I mean? You're not going to like what I say, but you're going to hear it.
But see, I feel like that's a good enough reason, though, because it's kind of like nobody wants to sit in no studio for months at a time and record a whole project. And probably, because I know some artists probably record maybe 30 some songs at one point in time, and then they pick out about 12 to 15 records that they want to use. That you go through the process, you send it to the label, then the label give you all these promises and say, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and nothing happens. There's a lot of artists out there that record albums that never see the light of day, and they sat there and worked on it for months and it never comes out.
Why can't we be the artist that the label pays the radio station to blast them or pays for the units? You know what I mean? And since we're going to keep it real, let's keep it all the way real. Why? So only certain artists they're going to pay for. You know what I mean? They're going to buy 250,000 records the first week, right? Only certain artists, right? All right. Y'all can keep that over there. I'm not the one. Y'all don't like me, or I'm not doing what y'all want me to be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I kind of got the energy before you even answer the question. I got the energy from you just talking to you that after that happened with Every Beat of My Heart, you was kind of like, fuck this shit. I'm not doing this no more.
I promise you.
It was a done deal. Like you
promise you. I promise you.
I don't blame you though. I don't, because sometimes you hear these stories too with people like they go to this industry. And then they deal with so much with this industry. You don't know what you're getting into with this industry. Like, you hear the stories, but once you in it, you're in it. And once you're out of it, you realize this ain't the industry that I care about. Like, this ain't the industry that I want to be in. Like, even Sparkle, for instance, she was saying this industry that I love so much, you know, fuck me over when the stuff happened with R. Kelly and all this other stuff. Like, especially women.
Not nary one of them. They ain't shit. You hear me? Not a nary one of them. They ain't shit. And you know what? I said to myself, because, you know, when we start out in this industry, we're taught and trained to, oh, everything is beautiful. Everything. Nah. At some point, we have to start telling it the way that it is. The way that it is. You know what I'm saying? They choose who they like and who will go along to get along. And if you don't go along to get along, you can forget about it. You can forget about it. You know what I'm saying? No matter how popular or how great you sound. And I said this in another interview. We hear every day people that sound like on the radio. they sound, and I'm not trying to bash anybody because see, they do this stuff. That's this other thing that they do though too. When you start telling the truth, oh, she's bashing. It is what it is. Everybody, most of us could see it, but the people that are down with the get down, they're like bots. I'll say that.
Yeah,
bots. But the real ones know what time it is. But the real ones will always come out on top. I believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because some of these artists that's out today would have never gotten signed during the time you got signed.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Look, I don't want to sound no way, but I just wanted to make sure no more fluffing for me. I'm done with the fluff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Absolutely. One of my final questions, because I said I was gonna do this for an hour, but we didn't got to some great conversation. We got a little bit over an hour. Okay. But would you ever do another album?
I actually will. I will, but I'm gonna do it I'll do it myself. You know, that's why I say I said I'm gonna. Sometimes you have to go back. You know what I mean, to where you started. That's why I reached out to David Anthony, and as all of my friends do, they show me love, and immediately I'm already recording.
You know? Oh, well, that's good.
So I think so. I think that the times are changing, and right now I have a lot of different things I want to talk about that I don't hear anyone else talking about, and I'll say it to you behind the scenes, Scotty. But there are some things that need to be said that we're not saying anymore, because I think we're starting to turn into our enemy. Let me get on this thing before.
Well, I will say this. I would definitely be waiting to hear, another project from you, because like I said before, No Half Stepping is probably one of my favorite albums of the 2000s. I feel like you don't get the shine that you should get. You and a whole lot of other artists from that particular time, you don't get the shine that you should. Yes, the album was relatable. Even I had somebody that was in jail before too, so but it's relatable. There's things that we all can relate to, and listen, like, it is what it is. At least you can say that, because not many artists can say this, but you got a classic. Any Other Night is a damn classic. You could sing that forever.
That is true, darling.
You can sing that forever. That reminds me of something that K. Michelle said in the interview when she was talking about her country career, and she was saying, I can sing Can't Raise a Man for the rest of my life, and it won't even matter. I can sing Can't Raise a Man for the rest of my life. You can sing Any Other Night for the rest of your damn life.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It like sometimes people don't realize it, but even with today, like nostalgia actually sells. These tours that these people have. I would like to see you on one of these tours that they have. Like, I go to these tours. Like, I was just at the Boys Mind tour back in October. Brandy and Monica are my favorites. I love them.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I went to their tour. What year was that? It's about to be 2 years ago. I went to the SWV and Escape tour. I loved those nostalgic tours.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to go to the tour with who is it? I think it's New Edition, Tony Braxton, and somebody else. I forgot.
Is it Jodeci?
Yeah, Jodeci. Okay. I wanted to go on that tour, but I think time has passed for that. But I like those kind of tours. I would like to see you on one of those.
I sure hope so. I hope I still got it. But I look forward to it. I think I stepped back, and most of the time people had no clue where I was at. Like, so stepping out on social media now is like, okay, here you go. So.
Yes, because when I saw you in that Cadillac, that's what actually prompted this interview. When I saw you on Cadillac Chronicles, because I had already just told somebody, I said, I want to interview Sharissa. I said you was one of the first 5 people that I had on my list of music artists that I wanted to reach out to. Because it's hard to reach out to artists and stuff like that to get interviews with them, and they probably And I'm just a YouTuber, so people may not want to interview with me because they probably think I'm here for the bullshit. And I ain't here for the bullshit. I want to just talk about the music. That's all I'm
we had a wonderful. I had a wonderful time here with you tonight.
Yeah. Oh, and thank you. I appreciate that. Now you know that since I talked to you tonight. Since I talked to you tonight, thank you. Because since I talked to you tonight, let me see if I can get Tevin Campbell on the line. That's the next person I want to get. I love. Oh my God, I love Tevin Campbell. Oh my God.
You can do it. I love it. You know, I did a show with Tevin Campbell. Oh, we performed together in Boston. I love me some Tevin, and all he did was laugh at me because you know me, I don't care. I was like, I
love you. I love Tevin. Do you hear me? I love Tevin. Like anytime I do karaoke, I sing "Can We Talk?" You cannot tell me I am not. You cannot tell me I'm not Tevin. You can't.
Yeah, that's the song. I love singing too.
Listen, singing to the point to where I lost my voice trying to hit them notes like him. Yeah, but you know, it is what it is. But this was a great conversation. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on.
You're very welcome, sweetheart. I enjoyed myself.
And you said you are in Charlotte, right?
Correct.
My best friend lives in Charlotte. I might have to hit you up when I come to Charlotte.
And I'll be in Atlanta in about a week or two.
Okay, well, you just hit me up then. You know, just hit me up. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Sharissa for coming, and I will see you guys on the next one-on-one. Thank you guys. Bye, y'all.